Okay, so I think we are good now. Sorry for that. I didn't plan recording initially. I was thinking since we're going to have a recap, but let me just record it. At least to help others to follow through before our next class. So basically, we have media, which comprises of video and audio. I think the last time we just spoke a little bit about this, but today I will maybe make it a little bit deeper than what we said in the last time. So media refers to communication where we could actually store, deliver information or data in one way or the other. And for us, we look at three major areas, three major parts. One of them will be the text, audio, video, and images. But in this particular, I call it class or session we'll be having, we would we'll be doing like two of them simultaneous. I mean all of them simultaneously, because in video somehow the end part of video would comprise of text, audio, images somehow. So when we say video at the end of the day, video can just be moving images, but when we call video work as a kind of a comprehensive thing, we refer to where the text has come in, the audio has come in, the images has come in, and then the motion graphics, which forms a kind of pixels that leads to video, comes in. So some of these terms, we will use them over and over again as we proceed. But what is important for us is just to know that video comprises of so many things. And what is important also is that at the end of the day, we have a kind of a synchronization with other team to make the video work as efficient as possible. So the two main components will be the video and the audio. Text may be there or not, images may be there or not, but if audio comes in with the video, then we said we have actually gotten a kind of the communication has been passed. Sometimes only the video itself may not, somebody's talking without us hearing what the person is saying, may not pass the information completely. And that's why we and the audio team, we work hand in hand to give the best. This is very important. The aim of what we are doing is to engage people. So if we do anything and people are not being engaged, people are not being carried along, and the message is not passed to the people, then it's in vain. So probably I'll ask us, as we are like this now, maybe two of us, can you just tell me what's the reason we will say we should do video works for, let's say, for our church like this? What are the reasons we could consider? Um, Possibly before you answer, give me 1 minute. Let me set up audio input. You can just be thinking about the answer while I set up audio input here, so that your voice can also come in here. Okay. Yeah, so please, you can go ahead. Who will answer first? I see Bro
Maybe
Caleb
Caleb.
is there. Yeah.
Caleb, maybe you want to go ahead. Okay. I think from my side, I think we do video first, especially at the church level, um, because our church has become, for most of after COVID, it has become mainly, how do we call it, online
Online. Mm-hmm.
and live sessions in the church. Beside this, where we normally need to talk about video before or during programs, and
Mm-hmm.
only then. But afterward, it has become like a kind of very necessary tool that we need to communicate between the church and those who are at home, so that as much as possible, even if somebody is not in the church, he or she would have, let's say, the best. Uh, Even though the person is not in the church, will be blessed almost the best as the same as the person who is in the church. That's my just general view.
Yeah, thank you very much. I mean, that's a major thing. That's a major thing. So that those, even those that are connected online, we could also get the best with those of us in the church. And then on the other hand, also for us, even in the church, um, many years ago, the messages that are very long was really engaging because of the times. But in the current generation, you can see people are really, really lacking that kind of concentration for long messages these days. And so it's important for us to still make room for them. The other way around is now in the kind of part of the world we are. Most churches, for example, what they are doing is very brief, you know, but we want to pass messages, so we preach messages up to 30 minutes, 45 minutes, even 1 hour, 1 hour and above. And then the persons we invite, some of them are feeling like, okay, I don't think I got everything that was said in that your meeting. And the major reason is because um, the picture we are painting to them or the messages we pass to them sometimes are a little bit very lengthy and focus and concentration is lost. So if we have things in between that actually engages the audience, then it's very interesting. Some person says, if I'm looking at the tree and without the tree, the flowers moving, it looks boring. But if I'm looking at the tree and the flowers start moving, like I'm looking at that tree for a longer time because I'm seeing some things moving. Am I right now? So if somebody is just looking at someone preaching and the person is just talking, and then there is no different view, I'm just looking at the person. Sometimes I can even slip off. But assuming I'm looking at the screen, and before I know, I see that some other videos are coming in, maybe some other people that are at the back at any point is coming in. It makes the person sitting down even a little bit lively. Ah, it might even be the next one that they are going to show on the screen. What if I'm sleeping? So I mean, so one key thing we should look at is engaging the people. That is the key thing. And bringing text inside becomes a little bit far interesting because we speak differently, we have different accents. So, for example, some persons may not understand my accent very clearly, but if I type those things down, it makes it quite interesting. So, I'm just bringing a general overview of why we do what we do, because if you don't get that clearly, we may just be doing what we do without actually getting the major or the the core reason why we actually engage in what we engage ourselves in. So that is one part. Now, the other part could now be that each and every one of us, we would really want to get a particular in our locality, we'll be able to bring all these things up and make it work out. So the training majorly is like a beginning level. Of course, at some point we will go more professional where we'll be doing some deeper things. And we'll be using Zoom for some things. I will be also be using the camera in our next class, for example. I will mount the camera and then we'll be doing some things with the camera. And then you'll be seeing how each of the things we change in the camera and how they actually playing out. We will talk generally and then we'll go into real practical things where we will do some hands-on. And then I think after our 4 classes, we intend having one physical class where we'll practice what we've actually spoken so far. It's possible that we maintain this time every week. And of course, we always do a pool of those available. So we don't just come and then nobody's available for the meeting. So maybe I don't know if Pastor you'll be helping me. I don't know how we're doing it such a way that we can now create a pool for those available for the next day. Maybe we'll create a pool on Friday, then they indicate so we know that we have people for that particular week. Otherwise, we'll shift it to the next week. So that's my thinking. If we have persons who don't have availability, who are not available on Saturday at all, and then we need to now maybe change the timing, I think we can still discuss that later in the group. So I come to the basic overview of what we talk about, of what we see video work as. Um, Now, when we talk about video work, primarily, I think some things are cut in there. Let me change this back to how it was before. So primarily, video work is comprises of when we pick up graphics. Graphics in this sense is images, and then they form a frame, and we put them into sequence. Sequence now is, for example, increasing or decreasing. That's a sequence. Now, it can be seen in different forms. I'll give you an example. If I snap myself 10 times and then I just shift the pictures in 10 different kind of, I just reduce the pictures little by little, the 10 of them, and then I allow all of them come one after the other, and they flow like that. It brings up a video. So video is like kind of a sequence of different images put together. And this sequence of images are called frames. And when we bring them together, they form a single frame of a video. So that's what a video is. So a video is just sequence of images that forms frames. And they now come in kind of a motion form. So they are not like pictures, not 10 pictures staying differently, or you are sliding them one after the other. When you put these 10 pictures into motion, they become video. That's what video is all about, right? And we can use that for educational purpose. We can use that for entertainment. We can use that to communicate. We can use it in the church and in many other places. But the idea is that they come in frame. So when I talk about the video frame, you now know what I mean. Frame is a particular shot of a video that comes up. The second thing we talk about in video work is resolution. Resolution now is when I bring these frames into multiple frames, and then I can compress them to become a smaller. So just imagine I took a picture on an iPhone and I compressed it so much that I'm not looking at that picture on a particular smaller screen. The number of pixels there are actually the same, but they are now compressed. This is what we call resolution. Resolution. And then in different videos, one thing that makes a very good video person is you can identify resolution. That an ordinary person will see two videos and say, these are the same videos. But you can look at it and say, no, these are not the same video. This has a better quality than the other. When we say quality in this case, now we're talking about the resolution of that video. Does that make sense? Some person will say, this video is very sharp. It's looking very bright. But the video can be very bright, but the resolution is very bad. So for us, for in video, we are not just looking at the video that is very bright. We're not looking at the video that is looking very sharp. We're looking at a video that has a good resolution. And no matter however I want to explain it, it actually comes after you view different videos. I'll give an assignment here. Assignment number 1 is for you to look at different videos on YouTube. In fact, just look at one video on YouTube, pick one video on YouTube, and then when you go to YouTube, YouTube will allow you to select resolution. And in that case, you can now actually study and know which resolution would have been the best. You study to know which resolution would have been the best. So this is one thing we could do. Let me see if I can bring one video from YouTube, and then let's look at resolution and see if we can actually appreciate what resolution looks like. Let me include a browser called Message. Yes. Let me just look for one. Let's look at maybe the last VCK King circle in our site, in our page. YouTube, the channel, King circle, playlists. Okay, so I'll bring out one video, and then we would see how this play around. 1 minute. This is not playing as I expected it. No. No, 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 no. 1 minute. Well, yeah. Playlists. View playlists. Exactly. I think it's showing me the same thing. Anyway, I think they should work whichever way it is. That is going on. I would want to 3840. I'm setting up a resolution of 4K on the software to AD 3840, and the height is 2160. You can see that on your screen there. That is a 4K resolution.
Willkommen.
I can actually not see. I don't know if
Can you see it
my
now?
brothers. Yes, now I see.
Okay. So I'm just grabbing that from YouTube, and I'm not sure it's showing me
Zum
there.
GCK King
Do anything?
Circle mit
All right. So I will zoom
The
this
sound
completely.
is not.
Yeah, I mean
Pastor
we don't need the sound now.
Okay, I see.
Yeah, I think sound is not important. What is just important is the resolution.
Dr. WF
So
Kumui.
now you look at this same video.
Willkommen zu einer weiteren inspirierenden Folge.
I'll go back again. I'm looking at just the beginning part. I want to just look at the beginning part.
Willkommen zum GCK King Circle mit Pastor Dr. WF Kumui.
Okay. Now I'll change that resolution. I think no. 1 minute. Let me check. It's a little bit tiny. Yes. So I'll change that resolution. Still the same video, but I'll take the first resolution there. If you can see, it's a little bit tiny, but that is 2160. 2160 is the resolution there. I'll play that
Willkommen zu
same
einer
video.
weiteren
I'll go again from beginning.
Willkommen zum GCK King Circle mit Pastor Dr. WF Kumui.
All right.
Die Stürme des Lebens schon überwunden hat.
Let me look at somewhere that they zoomed in something. I want to exactly. Okay. Now
Teil
look at this
zwischen dir
person's face.
und dem
You can see this person's face now. I will change this resolution to a poor resolution.
Allmächtigen beigelegt
The same video. I don't know if you saw what I'm just trying to show you now.
zu seiner Forderung, weil den Streit
You can see this video, the same resolution, the same video, but the resolution has changed. Resolution has fallen to 360p. And in that case now, the video quality has dropped. I don't know if you understand what I'm trying to
Yes.
explain about resolution. All
Mm.
right. Now, when we are doing video, it's not just to send video and say it's people are seeing. No. We must make sure that we get the best resolution as possible. And today we have 4K. This is our target. We have 8K already out. But at least we ensure that as much as possible, our video is not below 4K. If it must be below 4K, then we will try as much possible to still make it maintain 4K or not less than 2K. Of course, 1K, which is called the 1080p, is still available there, but we are just trying to make you know. So this is one key thing, and that's why when we want to do video, we don't play with resolution because it's very important for us. So that is for resolution. We'll talk about codec. Codec that comes more on audio. We'll talk about that later. But for format of video, if you want to save your video, there are different formats you can save the video. One of them that is very common is the MP4. MP4 format is very common, and the reason it's common is because it is a 4-bit MP MPEG 4, and also part 14. it's actually compatible with a lot of softwares and applications. That of the AVI is hardly compatible, very hardly compatible. But that of the MK4 even also is hardly compatible with a lot of things. But the AVI MK4, for example, these are better formats which gives you good quality. As we proceed, we will see more other formats that will give us very nice quality as well. Then the next thing I'll talk about will be noise in video. These basic topics are very important. Before I go to the main things, noise in video is something that people really will sometimes ignore. But for you as a video person, you must not ignore noise in video. I'll bring in maybe two images from online, noise in video comparison, just to see if I can get something that will compare two noises. Just 1 minute.
Mhm.
Yes, I think this is suitable. Exactly. Let me share this part of my screen. So at least we can see this easily. 1 minute. Save image. Okay. So for us, we don't want your video to have noise, no matter the case. And we try to eliminate every kind of noise in each of the videos that we actually playing around. And this is important both for you and for me. Because at the end of the day, if there's noise in our video, you will see that the video work will not be good. It will not be good. And then it will be looking as if it was, like call it, overstretched. That's because there was noise found in your video. An example of noise is what I will show you now on the screen. It looks like this. If you see this image, the left side, there are something like tiny, tiny, tiny dots. And the right side, we don't find that dot. So those dots there are noise and noise. And what happens most times, what easily brings noise in video are three things. Number one is power. Maybe your cable is passing through a high voltage, very strong voltage line. It can introduce small, small noise in your video. Number two is when you have set your camera wrongly. For example, the place is very dark. I see that very much in Essen, in Essen Church. Place is very dark and you want to use your camera to correct darkness, maybe to make the video bright. So what you now do is you go and start increasing your gain in your camera and the place will look very bright. The video will look very bright, but you will see a lot of noise in that video. At the end of the day, that video is bad. So even if it looks bright, it is bad. So for me, I'll better allow it to be dark and yet my video is good than try to like compensate too much and then it will now start bringing in noise to my video. I don't know if that makes sense. So as much as possible, we need to avoid this. So when you are handling your camera and you are trying to do any setting, you must check if you are bringing in noise unknowingly, because sometimes you can be trying to improve on the quality, you are trying to improve on the environment, but you're just increasing noise. And what is noise generally? Noise has four types. One of them can be interference. I've made mention of that. One of them can be a kind of fine grain, which is maybe, for example, sensors. Some of them comes from compression. Like I mentioned, compression is from your gain. You are now increasing the gain too much. It actually leads to it. And then I've mentioned already how you can manage noise. One of them is good lighting and good camera settings. These two things are very important. For those that will do video editing later, we'll talk about how can you still also maintain the quality of your video when you're editing, that you don't introduce noise. This is very important to us. So noise in video is something that if you can pick up that for today's class, it is very important. The second part of it is video feedback loop. I'm sure if we have been paying attention, most of us can even see this happening. Video feedback loop comes when you are sending a video somewhere and at the same time you are receiving that same video. You're the one sending the video, and at the same time, you are still bringing back that same video. That is video. That is video feedback loop. Let me see if I can recreate that scenario. 1 minute. OBS video camera, exactly. Let's see if I can recreate that scenario. It's possible it works here. Okay, it didn't happen. Yeah, it did not happen. I see something. Okay, so basically it is when I send out a video, for example, as I'm sending a video to you here on Zoom, and I now take this video again from Zoom and I'm sending it again back again to Zoom. Does that make sense now? So I'm creating a loop. So it should just be looping. So whenever you see a video loop, let me give you a picture how it looks like. Whenever I see a video loop, you will, let's see, video feedback loop. Exactly. Let me save this one. You can easily see how this one look like. Okay, so I don't know if you can see my screen now. Video feedback loop. This is how it looks like.
We don't see yet. Oh, yes, now.
Right. So this is how it looks like. So somebody is sending something to a screen and then he's taking that thing back. Before you know, we have this kind of ripple effects. It will now be looping each other. This is a video feedback loop. And what causes this is when you are sending a video to somewhere and you're also taking back that same video again into the source where you're sending it back, you have this kind of loop. So whenever you have this loop, just know that you've actually sent something and you're receiving that same thing again. So these are some simple key concepts which I would want you to know. So when I ask, okay, was that a noise? Is that a feedback loop? We will know what could cause it. Having said that, I would use the next session now to talk about different resolution. Now, I've mentioned about resolution already, and I said resolution is a kind of different pixels put together. And these pixels can actually be compressed or can be relaxed. So in this case now, these pixels are compressed, and that forms our resolution. So we have an analog standard kind of definition, and you can see there it is 640 by 480. This is in the 90s. This was accepted in the 90s. And then early 2000, we were using HD, 1920 by 1080. These are pixels. When I say pixels, I mean just little dots. So if I show you a particular video like that one I showed you for the king circle, if you were to count how many dots there are in that particular video, you will be seeing 1920 times 1080 numbers of dots. So the horizontal, we have 1920 dots. The vertical, we have 1080. That is actually how we form pixels. Do you have any question before I continue?
Not from me, sir.
Okay. So I will give you a little picture to see how those dots looks like. So that when we say a video comprised of pixels, you will now you understand in a bit how what you mean by pixels or video comparison of pixels in this way. So in my screen, I will put one image or video comprising of pixel, and the second one also, and you see this young man. The young man picture is still the same picture, but it is now in a pixel by pixel form. And these are the things that your video looks like. If you look at this picture, you could see that there are kind of dot that forms this face. Now, the more these dots are increasing, the more the quality of that video comes out.
Okay.
And that's why if you look at the slide, we have 9020 multiplied by 1080 will give you about 1 million pixel, 1 point something million pixel. That is what we call the high definition. Now, we now moved to 2K. 2K is the one that was happening in late 2000s, like in 1999, 2000. We're having 2K that was very, very common back then. 2K was very, very common. And that 2K is 2048 by 1536, sometimes by 1886 and all that. But it has over 3000 pixels. But today, not even today, in the early 2020s, we have 4096. These are pixels now by 2180. So these pixels are now what we have of recent. And sorry, I mean of in the early 2020s, because technology is fast increasing. In 2024, we're already having 8186 or thereabout by 4196. Something of this nature. That's about 8K. So we already have 8K already ongoing. And so for us at this age, we don't want to go below 4K. And if you want to buy a camera, you want to buy any gadget, please and please, no matter whatever you heard, even they say there's no money, you rather wait and we get something that is at least of 2020 level than for us to say, oh, we just want something to use immediately. Otherwise, in the next 6 months, you want to buy again. 3 years ago, I was insisting on this, and some persons in the church say, no, let's just buy what we can afford for now. I'm talking to you now, but 60% of those devices are just lying fallow. We are not using them. That's like two years ago. So therefore, and I saw this coming, and I said, no, this thing, so just buy. Don't worry, by then we can just leave it and look for something else. But it was less than 1 year. We had to start. We have to upgrade. We have to upscale, and then they are still working. They are still good, but it's almost useless. It's just that sometimes when maybe another small church may want to buy, we will tell them, okay, we can give you this, and then maybe we can now add money and then go and get something useful. Or sometimes we look for people that are saying, okay, would they need it and all that. But so for us, we are encouraging, please don't go to anything less than 4K. It's going to be a waste of resources, because at the end of the day, your viewers will not appeal to your video. Your video will not be appealing to the users. I mean, they can watch it, but people already knows that we have already better videos. So why not we go higher? So I'm emphasizing resolution today. If I can preach resolution today, then I think we have actually gotten a bit of what we want to do. If you look at these two images, you might not see a difference very clearly, but let's look at these two images. You can see the 4K resolution of that dog and the 8K. So no matter how I look at it, but two of them are the same dogs. I know someone that will tell me they are the same thing. Yes, they are the same thing, but the quality is really, really different.
It's different.
And this is what we are actually looking at. So here we have different names or conventional names we have for them these days. For example, the 240, people call it, like, for example, the SD. SD means standard definition. If you look at the bottom images, the SD stands for standard definition. And then we can go on and on and on, and then we can have something like HD. HD is now like high definition, which starts from 720 up to 1080, and then we can go as much as having a 2K, which is still an HD, but now it is now a quad HD. Then we can go to Ultra HD, a 4K, and an 8K. However, let me just say it here now that even though we have all this resolution, if you buy an 8K camera, you cannot shoot that camera to a 1080p, or that's an HD television, for example. It's not going to show on the television. So so when we are buying devices, we have to now look at compatibility, that if I'm going higher, I want high quality, I must make sure that I have the devices to receive that high quality video. I don't know if that makes sense. So that's just another side we need to look at. In a different
Okay.
way also, HD can also be, sorry, resolution also can also be scaled in this four way I scaled it now. We see the SD, we move to the HD, we move to the full HD, and we move to the Ultra HD. And we have now the Ultra Plus HD, which is like the 8K and all that.
Mm.
So resolution is important for us. Having talked about resolution, today I will not talk about the different blocks. I'll talk about that tomorrow. Sorry, in our next class. But I will bring in lighting as another touch of video work. So I'll bring in lighting. Lighting is very important in video works, because if you have very poor light, your video quality will be very bad, even if you have a good camera. And that's why sometimes even in our church, we have good camera, but our quality is still very poor. For those that are engaged in GCK King Circle, the same problem. The same camera we use for a particular, let's say, for example, when we are doing some choir shooting and we bring in lights. If you use that same camera for, let's say, GCK King Circle, and the light is not good, you will see that the video quality will be very bad compared to the other lighting, compared to the one that has lighting. So there are so lighting is very important. And even in our churches, let's encourage that we put good lighting. I was in Oberhausen the last time, and I was trying to convince the minister that we need to put light in that church. The roof lighting that is there is okay for reading, but it's not okay for video work. And that's why
Okay.
even when we want to come there for one or two activities and we don't have light, I'm a little bit reluctant, because we need to start looking for how to bring in light there. There are different cheap lights. We mustn't go for very high expensive lights, but we should go for something that is bright enough. I think I saw some lighting that is less than 100 euros. And if we mount two of them at a particular, from the roof or maybe from the side, at least for the pulpit, at least, you should be able to give a good quality of video that if a camera is brought in there, we will still appreciate the quality very well. Don't misquote me. If you bring a camera there, it's going to show, right? It's going to have a quality. But for us, we don't just want to look at, we have video. We want to get the best out of that video. So, and that's why I'm bringing these basic concepts to the video works. Now, there are four kinds of purpose or types of lighting we have. One of them that is very important is the key light. The key light is the main light. And most times the main light is almost directly in front of the person that is, we call it a subject. The person that you're actually focusing on, the main light is almost directly in front of the person. But because we don't want it to be too harsh inside the person's eye, we put it a little bit at an angle. So if you look at that image there, by your right, you have your key light there. By your right, you have your key light. And that key light is very important for you, because it can help you fill a lot of spaces. That's the key light there I'm trying to bring out. And so it's very important for us, because that key light will give you a lot of advantage to brighten the person. But whenever you bring in light from an angle, it brings in shadow. to the
Mm-hmm.
other angle. So to remove that shadow, we have what we call the fill light. The fill light. The fill light is now to fill up the space that the person's face is not brightened. And that will now cast all the shadow of the person to the back of that person. So if you have a key light can brighten one side and send a shadow to the side of the opposite the key light. The fill light will now brighten up the side that the key light did not touch, but they will now push the shadow behind the person. This is where the backlight comes in. And that backlight now like remove all the shadows and then make the person, the subject, very pronounced. These are very
Mm-hmm.
important kind of lighting. But sometimes we may not have the finances to do multiple lights like this. Then how you position this light now matters. For example, I can use only the key light and the fill light without the backlight. What I would potentially do is I will raise the light very high and then bend it a little bit down. So the shadow will still be there, but the shadow will be like close to the person's leg.
Mm-hmm.
So it will be hiding.
Mm-hmm.
But if this light is a little bit with the same level with the subject, with the person speaking, the shadow will be very, very long behind the person because it's just in the person's same kind of height. But if you take it a little bit higher, the more you increase your lighting height, the more the shadow is going down and the more the shadow is becoming smaller until it gets very small by this person's feet. That's one way I can do it. But sometimes we don't have very tall buildings to do this. Sometimes we don't have very good light stands that are very robust to go that height. So in that case, you might need a field light, a third light. What if you have one very powerful light? What do you do? The same thing. You can mount it a little bit close to the person directly in front, but remember the camera is always going to be perpendicular to that person. So the camera is always having priority over light. So in this case, if you're mounting lights, you cannot remove the camera and say, okay, I want the person to be very bright. I have to move the camera. No. The camera has to still be directly in front of the person. But what you can do is you can put that light a little bit by the side of the camera or a little bit above the camera that the person in for the camera can still stand, and then the light is just directly above the person and tilted to the subject. So this is lighting. And for those that wants to do video works, maybe at a little scale, you could use things like the ring lights. They are just little light that can just stay around the corner there. I will wrap up with the second part of lighting. I've mentioned already it, but I will just say it in a little form now. We have 3-point light, like I mentioned, the key light, the field light, and the backlight, 3-point light. We have 2-point light, which I mentioned also minimum. I'll raise the direction very high, and then I'm relying on that direction to bring down, on that height to bring down the shadow. Or if I have maybe I have a window that the sun is coming from the backside. So that sun will potentially create a field light for me. I don't know if that makes sense. So that's the next thing. Then some persons can even go for 4 lighting depending on how the environment looks like. But at the worst case, you can still do 1 light, but position in such a way that it is actually filling the object and it's not too harsh on the person's face. Finally, lighting also is important to know the temperature of the light. Temperature, we'll talk about this in subsequent classes. But some lights, even bulbs you buy in the market, they'll call it, some of them is called warm, some of them is called cool. Warm in the sense that it will look like yellowish in color. And some bulb will look like whitish or bluish in color. This is called light temperature or color temperature. And therefore, if we are getting light, we should make sure that our temperature looks similar and averagely around 5,000, 4,800, 4,500 to 5,000 are how the normal daylight look like. And our video, want the video to be as close as daylight as possible. So for us, we must use a good temperature light if you're using lights. Of course, we mustn't always use lights. If the place has, if you're going outside, for example, and the environment is very bright, maybe sun is not too shining or probably the environment is bright enough. You don't need lights in such environments because you have a natural brightness in the environment. But when you come to a closed door inside a room, inside a hall, and the windows are even closed for that matter, even if the windows are open, but the the lights inside the house are not even, then you must also introduce light. I've mentioned that if you're putting this light, the position of the light matters, the height of that light matters, the angle the light is facing matters, and the intensity, how bright that light is matters. So a combination of all these will remove what we call glare, will remove what we call shadows as well. I think I'll stop here, and then we're looking at a lot of practical session, um, remote practical session in our next class. If you have any question, we can pick up some questions now as we wrap up, if there are
Mm.
any.
Thank you very much, sir, for the comprehensive uh, video discussion. I just have one worry. As you have observed yourself, we in essence we have a kind of large hall and also tall on top in a way that it's possible to put this light up. But the challenge we have is since we are coming there, it's not our place. How can we, is there a possibility to having a flexible light that we can use and remove? And secondly, you mentioned that some of them are cheap. Were you referring to this set of three, the three lights, including the back one? You mentioned the names, but I didn't catch them. Yes,
Yeah,
this one, the key lights, the is it feet light, and then the back
yeah,
one.
the backlights. Yeah.
Is it
Uh,
the package or only one of them could be, because you said maybe something less than 100 euros? So if I understood well.
yeah. Not for this case, for in this particular form, these are these are not names of light in the market. This is the function it's performing.
Yes.
So, but in the market there are different kinds of lighting. For a place like SN, for example, it depends on the purpose. In fact, I sent one light to SN direction to be there, which belongs to the church, for example, which can also be used if need be.
Mm-hmm.
That light I sent, only one of them is enough.
Oh, okay.
Only one is enough. If it is positioned probably somewhere at an angle that they will just tilt it, only that one light alone is enough for everything you are doing on the stage.
Mm.
So, but that particular light is very expensive, and it was not. It was meant for a kind of multi-purpose use. I think that light cost about 2,000 plus. Only the light, without the stand
Oh.
and without the what we call the softbox. Softbox is just like a kind of a cloth to make it not to be too directly into the person's eye. So
Mm.
in that light, for example, you can even put it in front of the person directly, like the camera is, because it has a softbox that reduces the intensity of that light. Now, assuming I didn't use that softbox, I can mount that light at an angle because it has a stand. I can mount at an angle and then I remove the softbox and then take it very high and tilt it down. It can cover almost the entire stage till the place people are sitting down and can be over brightened, in fact. And that light also has a place that can be dimmed and reduced. However, if SN is looking at buying a light for their own, that's I say, depending on the purpose, for their own church setup, for example, just like they have SN has their own camera.
Mm-hmm.
There are what we call LED lights. LED lights, um, the you can see some of them is like, for example, depending on the number of LEDs they are using. Some of them has very high lumen. So if you want to buy light with high lumen, so in that case, you can even buy just two of them and with a small stand. because they are not that big like the one I'm talking about, the one that I'm talking about that I sent across there, is a little bit bigger. So
Mm-hmm.
if you put it at someone's height, it will block people that are staying opposite it
Yeah.
because it's big. But this one I'm talking about
Mm-hmm.
now is like something as a 15 inches laptop size, the screen,
Okay.
something of
Mm-hmm.
that size. So in that case, now you can just mount it here, mount it there, and then those two alone can cover the stage and also work what we want it to work. So that's what I would have recommended for a place like Essen. For a place like Oberhausen, it can be mounted on the roof. So we don't need to have a stand. For a place like Essen, we can have a stand because of the roof is very high.
Mm-hmm.
For Cologne, for example, we encourage the church there one-on-one, as in I'll just try to tell them, oh, your video can be better. I didn't tell them we need it either anyway, but I'll just encourage them because when they complain about their video, I say your video can be better if you have good lighting. And so they are investing the money to change because that is their own permanent place. We just come there and borrow. So they are investing the money and they are improving on their lights from time to time, their lighting of their stage. And please for I think last year they added a new light, and I think this year he was telling me that he wants to even upgrade that one to a higher or something better. So for
Cologne.
me, yeah, I mean the church in Cologne. I mean the place we
Mm-hmm.
use. So I
Mm-hmm.
think for us, we may not be able to negotiate this with the people there. They may not be using camera for now, so it may not bother them. But for us, we could get this kind of stand, uh, just two stands, and then put it side by side. Lights are a little bit fragile because of they have kind of LEDs on them, but they are not this particular one I'm talking about. They are not that fragile, so it can be packed in like we pack in our normal things, and then it can be movable.
Mm-hmm.
So that would be my what I would have recommended.
Okay. That means the challenge we would have, even if we were to use the one you sent, it may opaque the pew from
Not completely. For example, depending on where it's positioned, it has a stand, for example.
mm-hmm.
It must be placed directly in front. It can go far. So it can be
Okay.
placed like, for example, where they used to set the equipment in
Instrument.
front there,
Yes.
for example, let's say 3 seats or 4 seats after then, it can be placed there, and then the stand can be lifted above people's head. That even if people are
Mm-hmm.
standing, the stand is above their head. So in that case, the stand is where where the softbox. The softbox is the cloth that looks a little bit big. Where the
Mm-hmm.
softbox is can just be immediately above any tall person's head, and then you tilt it down. So in that case, people will not be obstructed. One, people will just see a stand, like just a stand, to be like kind of a just like, oh, like we also have pillar, for example, but the stand is not that big. It's just a kind of a pole stand. They're only what they
Mm.
will see, but the light is now going to the stage and still covering that environment.
I know the light. I think that is the system that we use once like that for choir recording.
Yeah, exactly. We use it for choir recording, exactly. So,
Okay. All
but
right.
in choir recording, because we are not having people who want to obstruct, we don't take it high. We just keep it at people's heights.
Mm-hmm.
But assuming we use that kind of light for people that we don't obstruct them, we'll take it very high and then we tilt the light down. So now it is now going to fill up the place and as if you are putting a ceiling light that is very bright, something of that nature.
Mm. Mm. Okay. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much. So I think if you don't have any question, we will stop here. I think we've covered like three important topics, which I
Mm.
will make the video available for people to watch.
Mm-hmm.
And then we will now continue our next class when we have a pool of people that are available this time next Saturday. We'll continue it again.
Mm. Yeah. Okay. I noticed there were two persons that would have loved to join, but they said they were not available today. They
Mm-hmm.
indicated tomorrow. I told one of them because the person I contacted, I think it's Kayla. I told
Okay.
her that we will plan the next session and I will update them. So we would, like you said, plan a new pool and hopefully more people will join. Mm. Thank you, sir.
Yes, sir.
Thank you very much. Caleb, I didn't hear you talk. I don't know if you were able to hear and to understand the things that are explained. I guess yes. If not, as we may have to share the video, you can still go through yourself as well. Thank you, sir. Have a wonderful evening. Thank
Yes,
you
sir.
very
And
much
you
for your
too.
time, sir. I
Yeah.
appreciate.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Okay. Okay. Bye bye.
All right. Bye.